Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to We Met at Acme. I'm so excited to be here with Jordan Foster. Hi.
Hello, thank you for having
What's
me.
your nickname, Jord?
If you know me really well, it's Jord.
Okay.
Funnily, my name is not Jordy.
Mm-hmm.
No one calls me Jordy except for
Mm-hmm.
maybe my best friend from childhood or maybe a family member. But yes, my name is Jordan.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
It's really nice to have a female Jordan. I feel like now it's
Yeah.
always guys who are named Jordan.
I know. Honestly, I have not loved my name
Mm.
growing up. Jordan Foster feels like very, I don't know, it feels very like rigid.
Mm.
So I like it when people call me Jord, but Jordy is tough for me, honestly, because it
Yeah.
kind of just like shows me that we don't actually know each other.
Yeah.
And I've considered changing my Instagram name. It's because my Instagram is Jordy Foss.
Right.
I've considered putting it on my profile, like my name is Jordan Foster, but I feel like that sounds like snarky and bitchy, and I should just be happy that anybody wants to say my name at any point.
I'm a fan of the snarky, bitchy, like one-liner on Instagram. So I think if you do it, like you'll have my support and a lot of people's support. You'd be surprised.
I'll like sign emails like and making sure I like aggressively sign it Jordan if the person starts out with Jordy and it's like it still doesn't catch on.
Yeah, no. People just don't
For
get
anyone
it.
listening, it's Jordan.
Now we know. What is your favorite romantic gesture?
Oh my God.
So like this is for someone to do to you, for you.
Like me now?
Yeah.
Oh. It's interesting how it's not that the bar gets lower, but but life changes and it's the smallest of things. My love language is acts. Oh, what is
acts of service?
No, it's actually not acts of service.
Quality time?
Quality time is one of them. And
words of affirmation?
Words of affirmation and quality time. So literally all I need is like you did such a good job on this, or like, thank you for doing this with the kids, or like, you're such a good mom. Like, I just need a card even. Like every time it's my birthday or something, my husband's like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I'm like, honestly, I just want a card.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's not allowed to send me flowers. They're so expensive. They're such a waste. And I just want someone to say something nice to me.
That really hits. You're such a good mom. Like that just hits. If you ever are talking to a mom and you just want to make them happy, you're such a good mom. Really works.
It really does work because we all think we're bad moms.
Right.
Like I think I'm a good mom, but I also think I'm a bad mom.
No, I mean, it's just the mom guilt that creeps in. Like, you know you're a good mom, but then there's like this part of us that, I don't know for me if it's the Jewish guilt or the mom guilt or what, but like that just is like, no, you're not actually.
I think my kids are a little older. I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, a boy who's 6 and a girl who's 4. And I'm now starting to see the ways I'm fucking them up. So my feeling about myself as a mom is just at an interesting point because I'm doing so much work on myself now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see the things I could be doing to them. And all you want to do is like hit the brakes and go in reverse. And you start to question everything. And I find that on top of the already, mom guilt stuff is just very challenging.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm scared to see, what I end up doing to my
You'll do it.
future
Like
kids
no
and
matter how
child.
hard you try to not do it, you just will. And that's just part of life.
Well, I've heard that the best we can do is just try a little bit, not like every generation, just try to fuck them up less, but you're still gonna do it.
Yeah, think about it. We're doing, and I have great parents, I'm sure you do too, but we're already doing so much more than they did. So
Right.
we're already, and we turned out pretty okay, I think. I don't know you that well, but you seem okay. You
I
got a
mean,
podcast,
physically,
you're
like
successful.
like illness wise, I'm not. I have like I have PCOS, I have this, I have that, and I'm convinced it's from like whatever they fed me, Like
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it probably is.
but yeah, like I like to think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, and so we're already doing better than that. So I think we're a leg up, if not more.
I agree.
But I think that the main thing you can do for a kid is love them and make them feel safe. And I know that sounds obvious and stupid, but even when you love a kid, sometimes they don't feel the love from you because maybe there's a safety issue, or maybe they have a parent that travels a lot, or the mom is on her phone a lot, or what. I'm only using my personal examples. And so I think just making a kid feel really, 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 really loved and really safe in their home. I have some friends that come from families you would think that would make them crazy and messed up people, but they have really healthy relationships with their parents in terms of love and safety, and
Yeah.
they're doing great.
I agree with that. I think love, so much comes from love. Like you also are confident as a kid if you feel love.
Totally.
So it's like it stems from all of that. And you mentioned doing work on yourself, which
Yes.
I feel like so many of us have heard about your journey. I don't even know how, me probably from listening to your sister's podcast. And it sounds like you have had this really amazing transformation. And I wish like I knew what that was like before, during,
Yeah.
after. But can you kind of walk us through what made you want to like
Yes, I can.
change?
I'm really happy we're talking about this because I feel like a lot of people, men and women, probably more so women from my experience, are going through this thing where I just turned 39 and around 36 or 37, I started to just feel like, what the fuck? Like, who am I? What is going on? Am I a complete failure? My life is so perfect. I mean, I'm so lucky in 100 different ways, and it still just felt like nothing had clicked for me. I didn't have a lot of friendships that I was happy with. I mean, I had a lot of friendships, but I've never been someone to make friends easily. It takes a really long time for me to make friends. Um, I'd been married for a long time. I got married when I was 27. I had my kids. I didn't career was good. I mean, we had favorite daughter and it was going well, but again, like all the good things just sort of made me feel like why is this not clicking?
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky in the sense that my mom has been doing journey work, which if people don't know what that is, it's plant medicine, which
Yeah.
is mostly psilocybin, so mushrooms. Um, and there are places you can go and people you can work with where you can do what's called a journey, where you can take often a mix of MDMA and psilocybin or natural heart openers, which are things you would have never even heard of, plus psilocybin. And you wear a sleep mask and you lay on a mat and you go inwards. And it's really scary and it's really hard. I've done it now 7 times, maybe 6 times. Lost track. I think 6. Um, so my mom had been doing it for many years. When she started, we thought she was literally insane.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our stepdad passed away about actually 13 years ago this Saturday. And she had been his caretaker. He was really sick. And she also didn't have a lot of female friends. Her kids were older. Her partner passed away. And she was like, she went through what I'm going through now. Like, what is my life?
Mm-hmm.
And she had friends who were doing the work. So she got into it. Again, we thought she was insane. We were like, I'm sorry, what? You go to strangers' homes and you take drugs?
Yeah.
And then you sleep there? And then you wake up the next day and hang out with these people? And like now they're your friends? And we were worried about her. And we just thought she was crazy. She's always been very in touch with her emotional side and would tell us, when you wake up, the first thing you should do is you should shake your body and you should yell. And we were like, again, insane,
Yeah.
lady. But she's a wonderful mother, so we kept her around. And the thing that you learn quickly when you start to do this kind of work is you never pressure other people to do it
Mhm.
because that's not how it comes to you. It comes to you literally through the universe, and it all of a sudden will be banging on your door. It's not like if you're sitting here right now and you hear me talking about this, it's not like you should go away and be like, oh, I want to do that too. It's like maybe you're sitting there feeling like you've been called to something and like all of a sudden it's going to sink into you. And then over time, it's going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And it got to the point for me where I couldn't ignore it. And I knew other people doing it. And I would be so scared when they would tell me their experiences because I'd be like, fuck, I need to do this. I really need to do this. And I don't even want to hear about your experience because I'm so scared to do it.
Mhm.
And so I knew I wasn't ready for a long time. And then one of my best friends was pretty into the work. And I finally one day was like, I'm ready. I'm just ready. I can't go on like this anymore. And again, like I'm on Instagram. You can see my life is happy. It was good.
Right.
I actually like felt happy for the most part. I love my children. I love my husband. I have a great job. I have a great family. I've always been very fortunate. Like it didn't make any sense, which almost made it harder to understand. Well, it definitely made it harder to understand. So I just decided like I have to change my life. Like something has to change. So I got very lucky and I did my first journey with some close friends. And I mean, nothing's been the same since. I don't know
Yeah.
how to even like put a lot of it into words. We could probably have a whole series based on this, but I don't really remember myself before I started doing this work. And it was only a year and a half ago, like in
Mhm.
May of what year are we in? 2024. So May of 2023.
And is the work primarily things that come up that you have to release and let go?
So
Or
it's
is it just like you become so self-aware that you can get rid of what's not serving you?
it's different for everyone depending on what your trauma has been or what you have to go through. So I can only really talk about my own experience. But for me, there's not been one thing that I have to go back to and solve or remember. I'm very lucky in the sense that I've never had like one traumatic moment or, something really horrible happen or a big loss or something where I need to go back and look at it and heal from it. It's more for me the relationships that I have now and that I've developed over time. And you're able to, I don't know the science of it, honestly, and I should because I promote it a lot and I do it often, but it gives you the freedom to see things without any judgment or
Mhm.
without your own brain and ego stopping you from seeing something for just exactly what it is. The one word I always walk away with is just clarity. You just see everything with clarity. You're just like, oh my God, of course that person doesn't give a shit about me. Or of course I messed that up. But again, that's without judgment. Or obviously that's not the job I should be in. Or of course
Mhm.
I'm gay for some people. Like
Right.
you can't hide from anything in it. It's
Mm.
just, which is the scary part. Because if you have something you're scared to look at in
Right.
yourself, that's really scary. Um, so for me, I was able to take a lot of responsibility for my own part in a lot of things. I've played a victim my entire life. I've gotten very comfortable with that. I'm the youngest of three girls, and I actually have older half siblings also. And I created this story that really has not served me in life at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
And I was able to take responsibility for that, which is a huge thing. And then also all of my relationships, my close relationships, with parents, siblings, things like that, husband, kids, you're able to see everyone with compassion. So you're able to piece together how things ended up the way they are. So I'm able to go back and look at myself as a baby and I'm able to see my parents and I'm able to think like, okay, that was tough with my dad. I want to look at his life. Like what did his life look like?
Right.
And I'm able to picture his life from his birth up through his upbringing, up through, losing his father when he was 16, his upbringing with his parents and six sisters, his job and all that. And you see it and you're like, oh, of course. Like, of
Mm.
course, this person is like that. And I've done that with every member of my family and my husband. And you just like get it. You're just like, of course, this person is like this. And of course,
Right.
this is how our relationship has gone. And this all makes sense. And nothing is about me.
Mhm.
Nothing is personal. Everything is about what everyone else is going through, what they've
Yeah.
been going through, what their parents did to them when they were young, and it gives you the ability to see people so differently.
Mhm.
I see a lot of people that I used to have maybe challenging relationships with, and I see them in a way of where it sounds cheesy, but like I see them through a lens of love, and I see them through a lens of compassion, and I see just them for who they are.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it has nothing to do with me.
Totally.
Um, and then it also, you see yourself. And so you're able to, in my most recent journey, which was my sixth one, I was able to see that from a really young age. I really never connected with people. I didn't really connect so much with my parents for whatever reasons. They are, again, wonderful parents, but just because of life, I didn't. And I didn't connect to myself. And I saw myself as a child and I saw myself like in a room looking around, kind of being like, I feel really alone right now and I don't really feel safe. And
Mm.
those are things I still really struggle with today. Um, Again, like I said, my friendships have been tough not because I'm weird or unlikable or anything. I just have a hard time connecting with people. I've
Yeah.
never been that girl that wants to like go for a girls' dinner or have a sleepover or like in going over to a girlfriend's house to watch a movie literally sounded like hell on earth to me. And
That
I
doesn't sound good to me
okay,
either, but
good.
like a girl's dinner does.
Yeah, now it does, but
Right.
previously it has
Uh-huh.
not sounded great to me.
Right.
I would think like, why can everyone do this so easily? Why is everyone so comfortable and
Mhm.
everyone wanting this, and I'm so uncomfortable and not happy in this situation? Like, I didn't even like going to a one-on-one dinner with a close friend. I just it didn't click for me, and so in this last journey where I was able to really see the lack of connection that I had since childhood, I was like, oh, well, of course I'm like that now as a 39-year-old woman. And it helped me forgive myself in such a healing way because I've always blamed myself and been like, why am I different? Why am I weird? Maybe I did this or maybe I did that to push that
Mhm.
person away. And the truth is like, I just need to relearn some things I didn't learn as a baby or as a
Yeah.
child. And that's all possible. So without the medicine, I wouldn't be able to see things with such clarity and without such judgment.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm like, I have chills from your experience, and I'm sure so many people listening do also. I'm curious, and I hate to bring up anything negative, but like,
No.
did you have any realization that like this person I don't like their energy.
Yeah.
I want to cut them out of my life. And the reason I ask is because I never did a journey, but I did dabble into like the mushroom world
Mhm.
at some point. I'm actually sober now, but
Okay.
I did. And
I'm always curious, sorry to interrupt, but does
yeah.
sober mean no mushrooms also? Because a lot of
Yeah,
people,
for
it's
me,
back and forth.
sober means like free of all mind or mood altering things. So
Yeah.
like that technically alters your mind a little bit. So from that, even though
Because I know
there are
some
debates.
strongly sober
Hmm.
people who have done journeys, so I'm always curious
There
about
are
that.
definitely debates. I mean,
Yeah.
I think like as it becomes more actual like medicine
Mhm.
recognized by like the FDA or whatever, right? Like I'm sure things will change, but
Yeah.
for me, it's like a slippery slope.
There's also so much medicine now that people who are addicts, I'm not saying you were an
Yeah, yeah,
addict, but
yeah.
people who struggle with addiction can take to get better. I'm not
Yeah.
recommending them because I've never done them, but I know
Mhm.
that a lot of people are turning
No,
to
I've
that.
I've definitely heard of that. But what I was gonna say was that I was in a relationship at the time when I probably like had the strongest reaction
Mhm.
to mushrooms, and I couldn't unsee
Yeah,
that he was not
your
for
person.
me.
Mhm.
And like it was crazy and so in my face and like and then at the same time I had like I saw a friend so positively who I had previously been skeptical of.
Yeah.
So I
And
just
has
wonder
that friend turned out to be someone
she's
you are close
wonderful.
with?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you're
so
not
I'm
with the
just
guy, obviously.
curious. Yeah, I got rid of him.
Well,
Um,
first of all, thank God you had that experience,
totally.
I mean, you could have easily ended up with that person. I don't know how
Mhm.
far along you were in dating, but yeah, I'm very lucky that no, I've never had an experience where I see something that is such a big part of my life and I've been like, that has to go or that has to change.
Right.
But I was already so far on the other end of the spectrum of not letting anything in. Like my life became really small. I
Mhm.
made my life tiny because I think I was just so scared of if I try something and then if I mess up, okay, there's the proof. I do suck. I am a failure. Everybody does hate me. All these negative things I think about myself are in fact true. So instead, I made my life really, really small and just stuck to the things I was really comfortable with, and the people I was really comfortable with. So I'm more about bringing things in rather than getting rid of things. But I've seen more friendships like more clearly for sure. I've been like, okay, that person X, Y, and Z, and I handle the relationship differently now.
Mhm.
Stuff with my husband. Listen, I have a happy marriage, but we've been together a long time. I think I know that every woman that goes into a journey is scared they're gonna
Like
discover
they're
that
gonna
they
be
hate
done
their
with their
husband.
husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like every single woman and every
Mhm.
single man or husband whose wife goes into a journey is terrified that their wife is gonna realize that they hate them and want to divorce them. And it for sure does happen. It's never happened to any of my friends that I've journeyed with, but we all have that fear because it's what we well, I had that fear because it's what I don't want.
Mhm.
I did not wanna see something like that. What I did see in my first journey and my husband's really private, so annoyingly, I can't go into too much detail about our relationship. But I saw in my first journey, I had this, like I kinda went through my whole life from birth until now, and it all happened really fast. I was kind of like on a fast-moving train, and I just saw every sort of important stage of my life, and again, I just saw it for what it was, and it made it clear as to how it got me to the next stage and how it got me to where I am today. And when I finally got to my marriage, I had this, like, overwhelming feeling of sickness, like a wave of, like, dark like, it literally was a wave. I was, like, inside of a wave tumbling with, like, dirty sand, and, like, it was scary and awful, and I felt like, oh my God, I can't do this." And then I had this moment where I was like, "Oh my God, my husband doesn't love me." And in that moment, it felt like the most real feeling I've ever felt in my life. And it was the scariest moment maybe ever for me. And then the music sort of like twinkles on, and the music really guides you in a journey. And from that moment, then there started to like, I don't know, this is hard to explain, but like certain things started to weave together like a quilt almost. And then I came around and I was like, no, 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 no. That's not what's happening here. You just experienced your biggest fear. You just experienced what it would feel like if your husband didn't love you.
Yeah.
And if you were going to have to break up, because I'm terrified of being divorced, of being alone, like all these things that are now so clear to me. They're not even really about him. They're about me not wanting to be left or alone. And so I lived that fear in that moment. And it was awful, but then I got through it and I pushed through it. And then, of course, I started to see all like the wonderful and beautiful things about our relationship and our kids. And I was like, oh my God, of course he loves me and I love him back. And we have this amazing, incredible life. And I'm so focused on the what ifs and is it all going to go away? And am I good enough? And just so many questions and so much fear. And for what? For nothing. Like it's actually all really beautiful. And then I had like a bit of like a physical release. I didn't like throw up or anything, but sometimes you like just feel like gastrointestinally like a release of some kind, whether it's like a sound or like some people retch or burp. I mean, I didn't do any of those, but I felt like this release of this like resentment I had held towards him for nothing, just literally for nothing. And then after that, you know, I had a discussion with him and I mean, so many things came up and you're on that like high for a few weeks. You really feel you've solved all your problems. Life is amazing. And, you know, you genuinely feel like you're on top of the world. And then of course your patterns come back in because we're in our late 30s and you start to be like, oh shit, I need to do this again. I need another journey, which is why I'm going into my 7th one. But every time you learn something different, you see something from a different perspective. Also, every time your mind knows what you're capable of and what you're able to see. So it wasn't until this recent one that I saw some really hard truths about myself, that had I had that experience the first time, I probably would have never gone back.
Right.
And also in my last one, I'll talk about my husband again. I saw us like sitting in a living room and he had like chains all over him, like not like sexual chains, but like medieval, like leather and like metal chains, like all wrapped around him. And I couldn't figure out if like that's him being blocked off or me sort of having created that version of him. But I felt like, holy shit, I owe this man such an apology. Like I have brought so much stuff into this relationship that had nothing to do with him. And I have made him suffer for it so much over the years. And I really felt in that moment, like, aside from neither of us are perfect. We've both messed up 1,000 different times and in different ways. And even in that moment, I was like, obviously he's not perfect, whatever. This is besides the point. Like, I need to say this to him. And I did a couple days later, sit him down and say, listen, I just need you to know I'm really sorry for bringing in these feelings of, you know, mistrust and a lack of love. And I really put that on you. And we were kids and, you know, that wasn't fair at all. And he was like, no, of course, like, you don't need to apologize. I've also messed up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I really do. And I really need you to know that I truly feel sorry. And I just really love you. And I needed to say that.
That's amazing. I feel like you've taken us on such like an imagination journey so far. And
I tried to not let it get weird. There's a lot of pictures I could try to describe.
I'm really into the pictures. I'm like there. I'm in it. Going backwards in time, how did you meet your husband, Tom?
Okay, so I went to college in Boulder. And then after Boulder, I had like just no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I'm so jealous of those people who go to college knowing what they want to do, graduate from college on a path, have their job, know what they're going to do. I was not one of those people. Truly just like a nothing. Like even to the point where my dad had to be like, you got to get a job. Like go do anything, go do something.
Right.
And I just was paralyzed with fear and just what am I even worth doing? And so I had a boyfriend at the time, a really nice guy who I was really into, and he had gotten a job in Switzerland. And so I also decided to get a job in Switzerland and we moved to Zurich and we had a really wonderful life. I think we did 3 years there. I at one point lost my visa. So I had to leave Switzerland. And at another point, moving to London became the closest I could get to like being able to commute to Switzerland. So I moved to London. Again, every decision I've made up to this point is for a relationship because I
Yeah.
just did not know any way to exist other than the safety of having a boyfriend, a
Mm-hmm.
potential husband. I really went from relationship to relationship from since I was 13 years old onwards.
Yeah.
So obviously I went to London, changed my life up to stay close to him. I got a job there, a job in like marketing, music. I don't know. I don't even really know what I did. I
Yeah.
had a really good position though. I was the VP of marketing, which we joke about that in my family because everyone's
Yeah.
like, VP, you were not a vice president of anything. You had no idea what you were even
Right.
doing.
Right.
But it became apparent when I was living in London in the distance, like it just wasn't working out with me. And this guy who again was like such a good guy. And I'm so happy that we had our relationship together and our time together because it was like a point in my life where I really needed someone to be nice to me.
Right.
And he
Right.
was a really good person and he was
Mm-hmm.
really nice to me. And I loved his family and I loved him a lot. But as it goes, in London, Tom lived in London. We met through work. We worked in the same office building. And, it sounds like cheesy, but we met. And that was really it. It was kind of like, oh, now this is what it's supposed to feel like. I finally feel the thing that I've been trying to feel for, at that point I was 25, so still pretty young, but this is the thing I've been trying to feel for 25 years. This is the shit they write movies about. And he felt the same way. And we were both getting out of relationships. Again, we were really young, but we got together and it was like, I mean, there was no tearing us apart. My family wasn't happy. They were pissed off.
Because he lived there.
No, they were pissed off because my other relationship had gone differently than they felt like it should.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone really felt like I should have ended up with that person because he was good to me and I seemed happy and all that stuff. But I just like knew. I knew that Tom was the person. And again, we were young. Our careers had not started. We did not have any success behind us, very little money in the bank. And we were just obsessed with each other. And I even brought him to my dad's wedding, which was like a month later, maybe after we had met. And he was not invited, but I was like, nope, he's coming to the wedding. My family was like, what is this person doing here? I was like, nope, this is my person. And now we're at this wedding and everyone has to accept this.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving anyone any other option. His family was a lot nicer, but he also previous to me had a girlfriend who people loved, also a really nice person that he was happy with. And again, just not the person for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we started dating 25. We got engaged exactly a year later. And then our wedding was exactly a year after that.
And was he also 25?
Yeah. He's 3 months younger than me.
When is his birthday?
December 30th.
Okay, so he's a Capricorn.
I guess so. I don't know.
Oh, you're not into the signs.
I'm into a lot of things, but oddly, astrology has not been one of them. But tell me, what is Capricorn?
Well, by the way, for our listeners, Jordan is a Libra like myself. You're September 26th?
Yeah, and I'm like a true Libra.
I love that. A Capricorn.
Of course, I know about my own sign, but
Yeah,
I don't know about anyone else. I don't even
No,
know what sign my kids are.
I love Capricorns. Like love, love, love. My son's a Capricorn, so I'm obviously biased, but really hardworking, like really just somehow all Capricorns are like successful in some way. And like very reliable and dry.
Yeah,
and
British, so that's natural.
Right. And the rest I'm kind of still learning about Capricorns, but they have really good taste.
Oh my God. Tom has the best taste ever.
Yeah.
It's actually so messed up because I'm a stylist and I work in fashion. People assume that
you dress him.
That I dress him a lot of the time and that I dress our kids 100% of the time and that I dress myself 100% of the time. But some of my best pieces of clothing are things he's picked out that I've been like, that's kind of ugly. And he's like, no, just give it a try. And then it becomes my coolest thing. Or like things that I've taken from him. He has impeccable taste. And our kids, honestly, he mostly dresses them and they look so cool. And I take the credit and I don't tell people that they're wrong, but it's mostly him.
Your kids are so cool, by the way, and, like, I know nothing about them except that I've
Yeah.
seen them in pictures and your son's accent on
Yes.
your sister's show.
Mhm.
Um, and everyone thinks that they're absolutely perfect, and what's so funny is one of my questions to you was, like, "How are your kids so perfect and not brats?" And you were like, "They are brats, and I'm ready to tell the world."
Well, I think obviously the stuff that's on Instagram, I'm not posting like their meltdowns. That would be unkind to
Totally,
them.
yeah.
No, my kids honestly are really cool. I'm really lucky. I actually do have great kids. Some kids honestly can be duds. Like I can see that.
No, it's true.
And my kids are not duds. They're cool and they're funny and they're great, but they're also kids and they are awful. Like I'm doing everything I can to teach them to be all the things, polite and respectful and whatever, but like I can't take them most places
Yeah.
and they're, you know, they're just that my kids broke me. Like I should have talked about that more with the plant medicine. Like largely I lost myself because of my children.
Mm,
Because as moms, and I'm sure you're already experiencing this,
yeah.
like we even if we have the most helpful husbands, we do so much more just because it's ingrained in us for, whatever reason. But, moms tend to make all the doctor's appointments and schedule all the play dates, even if they have a nanny. Like the moms are really still handling everything, and that was really comfortable for me to lose myself and my kids because I was like, oh yeah, I'm still like doing something with my time, and I'm killing it. But really, I just completely lost myself. So my kids broke me, and then they made me again.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, but they're awful. Yeah, they are. They're awful. They're just like every other kid. I mean, they're maybe a little bit cooler, but they can be really badly
Do
behaved.
they have British accents?
Junie, my youngest daughter, doesn't really.
Mhm.
Otto, my 6-year-old, he honestly does. Not fully. Like he used to have a full British accent. Like he was like Peppa Pig and a child.
Yeah.
And he has lost that. But now he says some words with an accent. So it's almost worse. I almost need to teach him to not have any accent because he can't be that American kid that's
Right,
like,
that, like,
I'm
oh my
American
god.
vitamin,
We
That's
know
the
so many
worst.
of those.
Yeah.
Um, and then is that because you guys were living in London when he was born?
It was honestly like a perfect mix of things.
Mhm.
He was just learning how to speak and he spoke on the earlier side. So he was maybe 1.5. So he was just learning how to speak. We had spent 6 or 8 weeks in England as we do during the summers typically. Um, and there was a lot of Peppa Pig and my husband's British, obviously. His grandparents used to call him on FaceTime every day and read to him. So that I could like do things around the house. Cause again, COVID and we didn't have a nanny still.
Right.
So it all just kind of like happened and we just got
Mhm.
lucky and it was a really glorious moment in time. But once he started school, it all faded.
Yeah. How did you guys decide New York of all places?
Uh, I went to boarding school in Connecticut, so I always loved the city, and I'd come into the city on weekends, and I always thought it would be exciting to live here. And I'm from LA, so New York just seemed, you know, very cool. And then Tom, growing up in England, he grew up in a small town in England, and like was obsessed with the show Friends. And so I think New York was
Yeah.
was basically like his American dream.
It's amazing.
And when we met, I mean, we both already said we wanted to live in New York, and it's a pretty good halfway point between the two places. But now Tom travels to Europe every week, every other week for work, so it's a little far at the moment.
Yeah, that is far. So you would consider maybe a
Yeah,
change?
we would consider moving. I think we wouldn't move to LA. We lived there during COVID. I don't think I'm like kind of the worst version of myself when I'm in LA. I'm not that healed yet.
Honestly, me too, and, like, I feel like all of us are.
I think I need a few more journeys until I
Uh-huh.
could be a good version of myself there. And Tom's English, so it's only fair that he goes home at some point. But we just want to be careful to never move for a job or for each other. Like we have agreed that if we're going to move, it has to be because we actually want to move.
Right.
Otherwise, that's like a disaster
Oh,
waiting
totally.
to happen.
So much resentment.
Yeah.
And let's talk about birth order for a second.
Okay.
We're both the youngest. You're
Yes.
the youngest of 3. I'm the youngest of 2. How do you feel birth order shaped your personality? Like, did you ever wish that you were the oldest or that you had a younger sibling?
Mm. So I never wished I was the oldest. I think birth order definitely is important. I don't know. Once I feel like I've found the answer, I then meet a family that sort of messes up everything I've decided to
Totally,
be
yeah.
true.
But, like, the
Um,
majority.
yeah, like I'm for sure the youngest, and
Mhm.
it's embodied in everything I do. I'm still treated like a baby. My family still doesn't understand how I could possibly be almost 40 and have kids. And sometimes I'm walking down the street going to like my kids' teacher parent meeting or something, and I'm like, what the fuck? There's no way that I am walking to a parent teacher conference right now
Right,
and have
right.
2 children and like live on my own and have a husband. Like none of this feels right. Also like in negative ways, I'm the youngest. I still expect kind of like to be let off the hook or people to do things for me. My parents are still probably nicest to me. It really annoys other people sometimes. And then I always wished I had an older brother.
Mm-hmm.
I loved having older sisters, but I think for all the things I mentioned before, the things I struggled with as a kid, I think I thought having an older brother would be like
Safe and
the
like
safe.
protective.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But you know, it turns out my sisters were doing all that anyway.
Right.
I didn't like feel it.
Do you see that dynamic playing out with your kids, like with Otto being protective and older?
Yeah, I mean, they're still really little, but he's definitely a caretaker of
Mm-hmm.
Junie. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really sweet with her and like he's not, beating other kids up for her yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I hope we get there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
I do think it matters though.
no, it definitely matters. I feel like when you mentioned you like felt like a victim for a while, I feel like
Mhm.
that also plays into the youngest sibling
Yeah.
thing. And I also feel like as a youngest, I like my family and friends like don't accept when I change, even
Yeah.
even more so because
Mhm.
you're the youngest. Like,
Yep.
and it's almost like belittling to be the
Mhm.
youngest, like no pun intended. Like you're just like,
No, it's like
yeah,
stay
no,
little,
you
stay
are
little.
little and you're a brat and
Mhm.
like you're not allowed to like become like an evolved
Mhm.
version of yourself, you know?
Yeah, I've never taken that as being the youngest, but that definitely happens to me in life, and I
Mhm.
feel that way a lot. So I
Right.
guess that could be us just continuing to act like the youngest. And by the way, we're probably annoying.
Totally.
Like, we're probably so annoying to
Yeah,
the
because we're the favorite.
non-youngest ones.
Because we're the favorite.
The favorite, and also we act like kids,
Right.
probably.
It's
So,
true. It's true.
you know?
Yeah. No, it's funny because you married young. And I feel like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I married at 25, like I would get so much shit being like, you're a baby. Like you're the baby. You're
Yeah.
a baby. You don't
I
know what
did.
love
The
is.
people did not think we were
Yeah.
making the right
Yeah.
decision. I mean, nobody told us not to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
nobody was like, "This is a great idea. You should definitely be doing
Right.
this."
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Right.
I did. I planned the wedding like, without a lot of not support, but it was
Yeah.
not the massive celebration you would
Mm-hmm.
think your wedding would be. I've obviously proved all of them wrong, so they can all go,
Yeah, they could suck it.
shove it.
Mhm. Okay, we talked about you figuring out your career later in life. Are you happy with where you're at now? So what exactly do you consider yourself? Like a stylist or a fashion? Like I know that you are you are the person for Favorite Daughter
Yeah.
who, the stylist.
Yeah, I think my title all the time is stylist.
Yeah.
At Favorite Daughter, it's style director. I don't fully know the answer to that, and that's part
Mhm.
of probably what I'm
Journey.
going through. Yes, at
Mhm.
the moment, I've done a lot of different things. As I mentioned, when I left college, didn't know what I wanted to do. Again, it's insane that we are expected to even know that. I graduated college when I was 21. Like, I, I wanted to like get stoned. I didn't want to do anything else.
Totally,
I wanted to
especially
do
coming from Boulder.
yeah, I wanted to do like nothing. I wanted everyone to leave me alone.
Yeah.
Um, and my first job was doing marketing at a battery company in Switzerland, which was pretty chic. And then the next one was the music marketing that again, I just did not know what I was doing. And when I got married, I was 27 when I got married, and I wasn't actually working at the time because I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. Um, and I knew I'd always wanted to be in fashion. I'd always loved fashion and clothes and all those things. And someone said to me, I have these two girlfriends who've just left Vogue and they're starting a company and they need interns. Would you want to meet with them? And I was like, yeah, sure, great. And so I met with them. I was already married again and 27 and met with them. And they were like, cool, you want to be our intern? And so I interned for them. And that was Meredith Melling and Valerie Boster, now Macaulay, who've since started Laline with Molly Howard. And I was their intern for many months doing all the intern stuff. They started a business after Vogue that was kind of a consultancy for fashion brands, and it quickly turned into a styling agency
Mhm.
because they just had such good taste and so many connections that people wanted them to dress them. So I was their intern, and then honestly did a great job because I was 27. So having interns who are older has a
Yeah.
lot of positives.
Totally.
And so I then became their assistant. And over the next 5 years, really just worked hand in hand with them. I mean, everything I really know at the basis of my fashion knowledge and work ethic is from them. And I really just put my head down and worked as hard as I could for those years that I was with them. And I had very little ego, or tried to at least, and just soaked up whatever I could. They started Laline while I was still their assistant. So I got to see a bit of that also, even though I never worked for Laline. And then when Laline took off, they were like, we can't do the styling anymore. You should keep doing it though. So I retained the clients that we had. And then I did that for a few years. And then COVID hit and I was about to have my second kid. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I work for myself. I'm about to have a second kid. I didn't have someone who could take over for me while I, was on any kind of maternity leave. And it's also not a major money-making job unless you're
Right.
like really at the top.
Mhm.
And now it's different because you can also get brand deals and stuff, but I wasn't getting any of that. I was really just like getting by. And so I was really scared. And then COVID hit. Obviously, I had to stop working because there was no styling to be done. And I really like didn't miss it. The celebrity styling, at least.
Mhm.
I loved everyone I ever worked with. My clients were really amazing, great relationships. I loved the final product of them being dressed and it looking great and them being happy and feeling good about themselves. But the process for me of getting to that point
Right.
was just really challenging. It's a lot of no's. It's a lot of networking and relationship building, which we've already discovered I was really bad at that because I just
Yeah.
like wanted to stay home and be by
Mhm.
myself and had very low, self-confidence. And so I wasn't good at that part, and I didn't feel great about myself because of that, but I knew I had good taste and I knew I could dress people. And then by just like the grace of the universe, Favorite Daughter started
Yeah.
in COVID. And I thought it wasn't going to launch because of obvious reasons. And they were like, nope, we are moving forward. And we launched in November after COVID. And it's been, I mean, like, how could I even describe what an insane
It's
ride it's been since
amazing.
then?
It's like I love everything that I have from Favorite
Thank
Daughter,
you.
and I get so much inspiration from watching your stories where you're
Oh,
styling stuff.
thanks.
Like I would have no idea what to
Well, that's
put.
another really interesting thing is we started and each of the three of us were kind of like, okay, what are we going to bring to this? Um, Sarah is a big thinker and she has huge dreams and she's a doer and she is like aggressive in a positive sense. She just will go after something.
Mhm.
So she really like keeps that business, all the business ideas really in check because she, again, like I said, has big ideas and she will like go for it. And she has a lot of relationships and like we're on Moda because she has those relationships. And yes,
Right.
the clothes were good, but like she's pushed a lot of things forward.
Mhm.
And not to mention we have a parent company who handles like
Yeah, yeah,
all
of
of the
course.
important stuff and we would
Mhm.
be nothing without them. I don't want to not say that. And then Erin is really creative and she's like also has amazing relationships. She's a great in between of Sarah and I. The three of us have really different taste. Erin can really work a room like nobody else. And we also do a lot of things that require her creative mind, whether it's like events or even like a caption for a video. Early on in Favorite Daughter, we did all the social media ourselves.
Yeah.
So, and then I historically had the styling and I knew fabrics and I knew clothing really well. I knew fit. I also was the one considered to have good taste, but now it's been almost 5 years. And so we're all sort of equally fashion people at this point. I mean, Sarah's super into fashion. We have really different style, which we definitely butt heads on. She's much more sexy. She thinks I dress like a literal grandma.
Yeah.
She like, I'm pretty sure hates my style. Or doesn't hate it, but doesn't get it. And I don't dress like her either. So, that balances things out. And then Erin and I have more similar style. So that helps my case. But to answer your original question, I'm still figuring it out because it keeps changing. The target keeps moving, sort of. But like before Favorite Daughter, I never did content.
Yeah.
And after a while at Favorite Daughter, there wasn't so much for me to do at certain points because styling, like, there's not a ton of that to do.
Mhm.
We weren't doing that many photo shoots at that point. So they kept asking me to make content. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll make content. But inside I'm dying. I'm like, how am I gonna make content? I don't
Right.
even like myself. Like, no one wants to watch me on a video. This is like my worst nightmare. And finally, Erin called me one day and she was like, Jordan, like, I always want to protect you, but you have to know we're having like meetings and people are saying, Jordan's really not holding up her end of this deal. And like, I can only protect you so much. I can only stand up for you so much. Like the truth is you're not doing enough. And I was like, okay, if Erin is telling me this, then I know this is like real.
Right.
And she's really trying to help me. And so I had to force myself to start doing this content. And it opened up a whole like new part of me and new side of me. And I don't consider myself a content creator because I'm really not. I'm still not good at it. But it made me so much more comfortable in my own skin and it made me so much more creative. And it's sort of given me this niche at Favorite Daughter of, like you said, like giving people ideas, helping with inspiration. We make simple things sometimes, a slip skirt, like, you know, giving people 5 ways they can wear that, I think is helpful.
So helpful.
And it's the first time I've been really like front facing in
Yeah.
some ways. And so that has been different for me and I like it.
It's amazing. And by the way, to go back into something that you said in your story, like being an intern at 27, like that's like if someone's listening to this being like, how do I make a career change? Like, how do I do that? You check your ego at the door and you're an intern at 27.
Yeah.
Like that's how you got to where you are today. Obviously other things factor in and like having, you know, family and whatever, but like,
yeah, and that's important to point out. Like, I was very lucky to be able to intern at 27. Obviously, that's not a money-making position. I was in a really lucky spot where I was able to put life on hold for a little bit and figure that out. And I often thought about the people who are not in a position to do that. And that's a totally different situation. And that's like really hard. I mean, what do we say to someone who does want to change careers, but they don't have that luxury?
Right. For that, I honestly would say like get a side hustle while you're doing your 9 to 5. Because I have so many friends that have side hustles that have been able to become their main careers, but they had to hold on to that.
Right. They had to have that paycheck while they figured that out. But yes, I think checking your ego is number one. And I'm now at the point where, you know, they've always said, I'm curious what you think of this. People always say like, do what you love, do what you're passionate about. And then someone at some point earlier this year was like, no, do what you're good at.
Yeah.
And if you do what you're good at, then other things will follow. And there have been plenty of times in my life where I think I'm following a passion. And then I'm like, why is this not clicking? And it's because I'm not that good at it. And if you're not that good at it, you know, I don't know. Like maybe we don't all have to follow our passions.
I agree. Do what you're good at.
Mix. And I've started to do what I'm good at, and a lot is working for me now.
Yeah.
A lot more is working for me.
I'm totally aligned with that. Do what you're good at.
Yeah.
100%. There's so many questions.
Oh, well.
The clock is ticking, so I want to try to get to everything. Who is your style inspo?
So I never really have like a person who's inspiring my actual style. I actually am really careful to never obviously try to dress like another person or anything like that. The people whose style I admire are not even necessarily people I want to dress like. They're just people who I love the way they wear clothes. I love the way that they're confident in their clothes. Even someone like Harry Styles. I mean, I don't want to dress like Harry Styles.
Yeah.
But like I love the
it.
way he tries out new things
Totally.
and the way clothes look on him. Sienna Miller just looks amazing in anything. I'm not
She
I
could
don't
look
dress
amazing
like her, but
in a garbage bag.
like, you know, style is for me not about what you're even wearing. It's about how you're wearing it.
Yeah. I agree with
Like
that.
when we're casting models,
Right.
I always go on their Instagram to see what their personal style is like, because I know that whatever they're going to bring to the photos is going to be part of their their personality is going to be in the photos. And so I always like to choose girls who have great personal style and like cool personalities because it comes through.
Yeah, that's really smart actually. If you were single now, where would you go or what would you do to meet a spouse?
What a scary idea. I don't think I'd be in New York City. I think that feels like a really terrifying place to be single. I know a lot of amazing.
Place.
Oh, you do?
I do.
I just feel like I know so many incredible single women, and I know maybe 0 incredible single men.
Like, don't you know less incredible single men in like LA, for example?
I haven't lived in LA in a long time, so yeah, I don't know. It's probably similar there. I don't know. Do people go to like Denver?
You know what? My friend
like
moved to Denver and she met a great guy. It's called Menver. You know that? Yeah, they call it Menver.
Oh my god, I knew that.
Really pulled that out of your butt, but that was the
so
answer.
I would go to Denver, people. That's
there
where
you go. Go to Denver. So Aaron and Sarah have a podcast and they work together on, a ton of things,
Yes.
like their show. Does it make you feel any type of way? I always worry about this because I want 3 kids. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes after 2, God willing. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, the short answer is yes, it does bother me, but not in the ways people would think. I think the thing that makes it work with the 3 of us at Favorite Daughter and the 3 of us just in general and why we're able to be close and not hate each other is that we have no jealousy between the 3 of us. We all are really different. We all bring really different things to each thing that we do. I don't want to be like them. They don't want to be like me. They don't want to be like each other. We are our own people. So there's no jealousy, which like right there, that makes it easier.
yeah.
So I'm not jealous of the things they're doing together. I'm jealous of the time they get to spend together. And obviously it's created a closeness in them that I'm not part of because I'm just like not there. I even have moments where I'm like, maybe I should just go to LA more often and just sort of like hang out with them while they're doing their things. Like,
Right.
I don't want to work on a TV show. That doesn't sound fun to me at all. But I love spending time with them and I love seeing what they're doing. And I'm so happy that we have Favorite Daughter that we can do together. And in the
Right.
future, I would be really happy if there was something the 3 of us could do together again. But yeah, it is hard for me sometimes. But I also have to remember I removed myself from the situation.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
For whatever reason, I left when I was 14 for boarding school. I was having a tough time. Again, life was not clicking for me. I blamed my location, which was not the problem, it turns out. But it was a great distraction moving away. And I used to get really upset and be like, I'm not there for mom's birthday or nobody misses me at this event. And Aaron, who I'm really close with, would always be like, but Jordan, you chose not to be here.
Right.
Like, you're not here because you don't want to be here. And again, victim always coming
Right.
through.
It's like you
like,
played yourself.
what did I want? People to like drag me on a plane and make me go? No, I just wanted people to tell me that they wanted me there. So I really had to take responsibility for that. I removed myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know what would have happened had I stayed, but
Would you see yourself going for baby number 3?
it's not 100% no for me. So that makes me think that, yes, I would be open to it. As I mentioned, I'm 39. I know for a fact my fertility is not good. I got really lucky having my kids earlier with no
Right.
problems. But I have since done some tests just to see if a third is possible. And it's not looking great. So I'm very, very happy with the 2 that I have. I feel very complete. And it's up to the universe if I have a third. But I will be moving if I have a third for sure.
What age has been your favorite of your kids so far?
God. Every age and no age. Because it's like in the moment, you think every age is the hardest. In the moment, you think it's the worst age. In the moment, you're like, this is sleep regression, or this is temper tantrum age, or this is when they become rude, or whatever. You think every age is the worst. And then you have hindsight and you look back at pictures and you're like, wait a second. 2 was the best. Those were the most magical years. A 3 was incredible. So I really try to appreciate the points that they're both at now, even though they're really hard. Like my 4-year-old is now becoming a person and she's becoming kind of funny and being conversational. And I'm trying to really enjoy that. But she's also really, really tough. She really still has her tantrums and is really hard to get to do anything. And then my son is becoming like a kid, he can talk back and he has a lot of opinions and that's really hard. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, but this is when they're learning how to read. And he's in first grade and it's so sweet. And he's losing his teeth. And so every age is the worst and the best.
Yeah. What's your best advice for a successful relationship?
God. Time. Giving it time.
Yeah.
I think my relationship is a success now. But again, we're many years into it. And it took a long time. I mean, to grow up together is really tough. When you get married young and to have to navigate life together while you become whoever you're going to become, it's rare that it works out as well as it has for us.
Yeah.
But a successful relationship, not being resentful of each other. And if you start to get that way, deal with it. Don't let things slide because it doesn't go away. It literally lives in your body. If you are resentful of your husband at 25 and you don't deal with it, you will be resentful of your husband at 35.
My favorite saying is don't pick your battles. Like actually say everything that you're thinking as it comes. Like do the battles, like get the battles out.
Yeah, we had a lot of battles early on. And yeah, thank God we did because now we don't anymore.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, really quick rapid fire
Yeah.
because we are being kicked out in
Ugh.
less than 2 minutes, and I'm so
God,
sad.
I'm sorry I was so serious. Jesus.
No, I love everything that you said. These are just silly, like random questions.
Okay.
Growing up, did your parents drink most nights? Yes or
Drink?
no?
Never. They never drank.
Before you turned 30, did you either get engaged or run a marathon?
Engaged, definitely not a marathon.
Are you a salty or sweets person?
Salty, don't like sweet.
Me too. Love salt, but love both. Is it normal for a guy to have a few pictures of him and exes buried in a drawer? Yes or no?
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. But it's
It's awful when you find
Yeah,
it.
no, it sucks. It sucks, but like whatever. Long-term boyfriend doesn't go out that often, but when he does, it's until 2 or 3 a.m. Red flag.
Yeah, it's a red flag, but it can be dealt with.
If you drop your sweatshirt inside out on the sidewalk, would you put it back on before washing?
Yeah. What was on the, I don't know, what was on the sidewalk? Normal
Like,
sidewalk,
it's the
yes.
sidewalk.
Dog pee, no.
If you are in a long-term relationship, how often do you have sex? Once a week, twice a week, or more? 1 to 3 times per
I
month?
mean, how old are you? How old are your kids?
Let's say it's you.
If it's me, I would say like once a week.
Yeah, I think that's that's really
That's
good.
pretty good, I think.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate that
Okay.
win.
I'm not saying it happens. I'm sure try.
This was so much fun. I could talk to you forever, and I'm really, truly depressed that we have to end. Can you leave us
Have
with a
me back.
quote or piece of advice? Just like a quickie.
A quote? No, I cannot leave you with a quote.
A poem?
A piece of advice is like deal with your stuff because your body knows it's happening anyway and you can't escape it. So you may as well just live the life you were meant to live when you came into this body.
I love that. Where can everyone find you, follow you, and
You
check
can
out?
follow me on Jordy Foss, but again, my name is Jordan. That's real. I'm only on Instagram, really. And then I'm happy to share, some resources on the plant medicine and stuff. If
Yeah.
anybody's interested.
Yeah, send me something that I can put in the
Yeah.
show notes.
because I know it's a real tough thing to navigate.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you
you
for
so
having me.
much.